now, Ian Harris, President and CEO at Copper Giant Resources. Good to see you, sir.
It is wonderful to be here. Nice to be in Toronto.
Yeah, great. Now, we know you from Libero Copper. There's been a name change. You're also now, the company is under the Fiore Group umbrella. Frank Giustra holds 13%. So maybe let's start there as to why it was done. You say it's a whole new direction for the team.
Yeah, so it was a combination of a lot of things. First, Frank wanted to make sure everybody knew that there was a new sheriff in town, and this is his new baby, and he wanted to make sure we did a name change. And at the same time, we made some big, gigantic geological revelations, which were, one was that the fertile period was 10 million years, and we can get into that. The alteration footprint, the whole size and scale was, we might be just looking, the resource is already very big. But we might be looking at the tail of an elephant. And so the name just came together and everybody seemed to really like it. So we picked Copper Giant.
Right. So this is in Colombia. This is the Mocoa resource. And you say that it could actually eventually be 2 to 3 times the current size. So the team is drilling. You found some new high-grade zones, doing some drilling outside the main Mocoa footprint. So give us an update on all that.
So I'll go from macro to micro, right? No, it was, the big one was our vice president of exploration, working on about to get his PhD, was looking at porphyries around the world and did age dating for basically when was the first pulse and when was the last pulse of mineralization, because obviously having multiple pulses already is a sign. We're seeing multiple pulses, but how long did that happen? And it was about 10 million years.
Wow.
And to put that into perspective, there's only 2 projects we know of, because it's not always available data, that is Rio Blanco and Chuquicamata that had a longer time period. Both those projects are over 100 million tons of contained copper size projects. They're the biggest copper projects in the world. In perspective, world production of copper is about 20 to 22 million, probably about 24 million tons of copper a year. So you get a size of those. So having something goes, whoa, this is a really big deal. And then the other alteration footprint also saying, we're just maybe looking at the tail here. And so the additional drilling that we've done, we did a resource, an exploration target to demonstrate where it can grow up to 3 times bigger, right? We're right now about 2.9 million tons of contained copper. So it's already big, right? But we really want to get to at least that 10 million mark. And the exploration target should even get us close. And that's just around the deposit area. And then as we're drilling, we found additional high-grade zones, which bodes extremely well. We're continuing to hit 1,000-meter type holes. Just looking at Mining Hub and looking at some of the best drill holes of the year, we've got at least 5 in the top section, right? It's every single one of the holes seems to be one of the better holes in the world, and with high-grade components to this. So from the delivery on the ground to the knowledge that we have geologically, what are the structures that are holding high grade? Traditionally was the breccias. Now we found an additional phase of mineralization in the porphyry that was high grade copper. So many things are saying, yep, it's all coming together in the potential of the project.
Okay, so you've engaged Apex Geoscience to help complete the updated MRE. And so what's the timeline on that, when it may come out? And also, how much more robust do you expect this one to be from the previous?
So to be fair, one of the reasons we're doing it is because we've had the 600 million ton resource for a long time. People basically think, yeah, that's a good size, but they're not realizing, but we realize that this thing could grow dramatically. So we wanted to be able to demonstrate to market that the project can get bigger. I want to be able to pass that billion-ton mark to show, wow, this thing is really growing. And it's not done yet. But some of the other things, some of the underlying economics, we originally had a 90% recovery for copper and a 75% recovery of moly assumption. And our recent metallurgical test work came back 97. At the same time, the 3-year trailing average for copper price versus moly has way accelerated copper. And because so much is moly, it dramatically changes the economics. So we wanted to make sure that was included in an updated, that we reorientate our arrow. So for those 2 reasons, we're working on that, and most likely will be out in this quarter. So before the end of the year, we'll be doing an update on that resource.
Oh, great. You also, the company hit a major milestone a while ago getting your full social license in Colombia, and you say that's quite unusual for an explorer. So, how significant is that then?
So first, it's the first exploration company in Colombia to do a prior consultation process in the exploration phase. But um, I came to Mocoa to build to make sure that it became a future producing mine, right? So we think in those types of terms, and that helps create a pathway of creating cooperation in order to continue to work together on a project, and builds buy-in and ownership to the project. So that was a big milestone, working with Inga de Condagua and building that relationship. And according to the government, so you would have to do a prior consultation if you're doing a hydroelectric project or a gas project or a wind project. Any sort of big projects have to do these prior consultations to any of the affected First Nations or indigenous communities that would be potentially affected by the project. So to put it in perspective, and the government said that this was the first time ever where they saw it was the company representative talking to the indigenous representative. So it was company talking directly to the nation. That they've never seen it. Normally, people use third parties to do these types of negotiations, and that was big. And I was like, well, how do you build a relationship if you don't do it yourself? So again, I am big on navigating. I live in Colombia. One of the reasons is these are big projects. This will probably be the biggest mining project in the history of Colombia when it finally moves forward. And you have to navigate it like a very large ship. And be thinking always way ahead of time. It's not something you can steer really quickly. And constantly be thinking about how do you navigate for this to become a future project. And let's be fair, I want it to be the most beneficial project too. I want it to better the maximum number of people's lives as possible. Locally, regionally, nationally is also a big motivator.
Great, and they must love when you walk into meetings and you're right away you're speaking Spanish. You're fluent, right?
That does help. It does help, and yeah, when we have the ability to speak fluidly in Spanish, it does help open doors.
For sure. Now, as far as the stock, just to wrap up here, Ian, it's up about 40% last I looked in the last 6 months or so. But you think it's undervalued. So what's it going to take to get a re-rating? Is it a matter of the updated MRE? There's a catalyst there. Getting the market to better understand the story and just kind of continuing to prove it out.
So I have to be fair that over the last few years and even recently, we're most influenced by momentum in market, right? And we saw the momentum in gold. We saw the JDX up 100%, and then we saw a big movement in silver. We saw a little bit of rotation into copper, and I've always felt we are the company that is sitting front in line, right? Some of the other companies that are worth 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 cents per pound in the ground had done that graduation when there was more momentum in the market. So it's sort of a timing thing. I feel we're in the front of the line. When you see momentum moving towards copper, we saw a little bit of movement as there was rotation into copper. Copper prices breaking $5 per pound helped us push us a little bit further. But I do believe we're currently about 0.2 cents per pound in the ground. So there's a lot of running room to get us to a proper valuation. I strongly believe that Copper Giant will be an extreme winner when there's a little bit of attention, which there's always been. Copper is the new oil.
Yeah.
You're seeing it on the front cover of magazines, but it hasn't trickled down into the equity space yet. But it will, right? The fundamentals of a supply-demand gap, Grasberg going out of production, having problems in the DRC, are really bringing it more to the forefront, right? So I really feel that, if you missed out on the beginning of the gold cycle, you don't miss it out on copper, and Copper Giant is definitely the horse to bet on.
Right, and Frank Giustra is not a dumb guy, so maybe he knows something, right? And maybe you know something too. Thanks, Ian.
Very true. Thank you very much.
All right, good stuff. Ian Harris, CEO at Copper Giant Resources.